Colin, I was standing outside the Western shop the other day, and I suddenly realized that I've actually been shopping at the Western shop for 40 years. Made me feel very old. You've been retired for 11 years, and it seems like just the other day that we were watching horses like Secret Rights and Sabre blaze across the turf at Clearwood Park. It's quite mind-boggling.
It is absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, it's 11 years that have flown like, well, it's quite scary. When you get to my age, you don't want 11 years. You don't want a year to fly by, let alone 11 years. But it's been an amazing career. I was 38 odd years in horse racing. It was passion. It was something that I got up every morning of my life and loved what I was going to do. And I think that it's a privilege and an honor, really, to be in a situation that you get up every day and love what you're going to do.
Well, the Lord above sometimes has a wacky sense of humor. You retire, he says, I'll tell you what, I'll give you something to keep you busy. Take this wife. She's got so many conditions. What has it been like living with a warrior?
Andrew, it's been a roller coaster of highs and lows. But the amazing thing about it is that Shirley is a warrior of note. But she made it a lot easier because she decided that she was going to beat it. And all I did was really support. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend every single chemo session that she had. She still has them today because it's a maintenance treatment. So that's been going on for years. I've been fortunate enough to be with her, to support her on every single one. I never missed one. And so I felt like I was part of the journey. What I didn't have was the pain that she endures every day. And, sadly, I don't always get it right. You know, she will ask me to do something, and 10 minutes' time, it's not done. She jumps up and does it herself. And on reflection sometimes, I think, why didn't you just do it straight away? But that's the kind of person she is. She's determined. She's just this warrior that of note. She's my warrior. I mean, I know that there are hundreds of other warriors, Jill and all the other people with afflictions. Shirley will go out and tell other people her experiences to lift them up. And the chemo buddies were amazing people. I mean, she met so many different people, and I don't want to use the term feed off each other. They feed each other with their own experiences, and they lift each other up. To go there and to hear people, you know, sitting there with 3 hours or 4 or 5 or 6 hours, I think surely some of her chemo sessions were 6 hours, to sit there with a needle in your arm for 6 hours, laughing and joking with people around you. It's a different world.
So I enjoy remission right now. It doesn't mean I don't have pain, but it certainly has lessened over the years. It's been a big stretch of 27 years. Bearing 2 children, which was a bit tough, whilst I was going through the part where I wasn't in remission. It is woven into the fabric of my being, but doesn't define me whatsoever. I can do anything, and it doesn't stop me from being who I am.
The interesting thing I find is that there are 2 psychological approaches to conditions. Either you go with the medical advice that is afforded you, and whether you have the medical aid that can carry the expensive treatment that is so often the case, or you can get to the root of the problem with a naturopathic approach. Which approach have you taken, and do you think those 2 paths converge?
They do, definitely, and I've used both. Western medicine definitely has a place, and so does allopathic. And I've been treated with a bunch of those natural methods, including holistic issues, and the only thing I haven't tried is acupuncture, which I still would like to at some stage, but I've done cupping. I think they do marry together very well, and one should be open to using both because both do benefit you.
I think the interesting thing is that the people that practice alternative medicine don't necessarily fear conventional medicine, but the opposite
yes.
is not necessarily the case.
That's a huge point and very valid. You do get some specialists who are wary and they poo-poo things, but I prefer to be upfront. I do take different other vitamins that attribute to different things in my life and make me feel better for it. And that's what the most important thing is, so that I can feel better, that I can be a wife and a mother, and I can do the things that I want to do and that make me happy.
I call myself a warrior because every day is a fight. I've got conditions, and one of the most severest one that I have got is systemic lupus. And people will look at you and think, what the hell's that? It's basically my immune system attacks a healthy organ at any time. It will look at it and say, that is not supposed to be in your body, and it will attack it. It can be your kidneys. Lately, it's always been my kidneys, but it can move to my lungs, my heart, my brain, anywhere.
So the medication tells the brain something else.
Correct.
Prevents that organ from being attacked.
Correct.
But there's a price to pay.
Yes, there is a price to pay. I'm fortunate that plasmaquin, which is an anti-malaria medication, works for me. I haven't had to go onto the chemotherapy medications, but at least twice a year I'm admitted for infusions and cortisoids, and you name it, it goes in. We live permanently in pain because the disease, the conditions that we've got, the side effects and add-ons are ridiculous. I mean, the symptoms, they can attack your joints. It could be rheumatoid arthritis, or alternatively, it could be systemic lupus attacking that joint. So you never really know which way you're going to be dragged into this condition. And over the years, you learn to accept it. You learn to deal with it. The worst part is your whole character changes because your whole being has changed. I've lost my hair. My weight fluctuates. I've had to stop working. My whole sense of being has changed. With all of that comes depression. Your highest suicide rate is with fibromyalgia because it is so severely painful. And that's suicides. Fortunately, I mean, I've never had that kind of extreme pain before, but I can relate to it. I'm just so in awe of Shirley. I mean, she spoke so highly of me, but she's actually one of the biggest warriors you can ever come across. I mean, she's had so many conditions, even cancer on top of it, and she still gets up and smiles every day. That's a true warrior.
Well, we've got some incredible people on board. Gaynor Rupert's been a very big giver. So too John Costa.
Yes.
Henning Pretorius has made some massive strides for KwaZulu-Natal breeding in a very short space of time. Dromex, a very upwardly mobile company with great innovations and technology, and also very philanthropic in a lot of their approaches. Gavin Finzale.
Yeah.
But those are all familiar colours to us, whether they're on the internet or whether they're on a race course.
Yes.
These colours are completely new, they're fresh, they're well thought out, well conceived. We'd love to know about them. Starting off with that ribbon in the centre of the chest.
The ribbon on the centre of the chest is the autoimmune ribbon, which is purple. It's to bring it to people's attention. They see yellow, they see pink, they see red. Very seldomly you'll see purple. The purple represents different diseases in different countries, but here in South Africa, this is the autoimmune condition. The pink of the jersey is for cancer sufferers, because it's one of my passions is the Cancer Association.
Pink Drive.
Pink Drive. I mean, that was one of my best race meetings, much better than the Durban July, all that kind of stuff, because I was very passionate about that, the Breast Cancer Foundation and everything, and I put a lot of effort into that race meeting, and that's what made me very aware of cancer. So I wanted to bring it in because my late mom had cancer at one stage, so that's in remembrance, you know. Then the stars on the sleeves is in remembrance of all those that have passed from the disease, from the conditions, okay? The epaulets are because we're warriors.
Do you feel that your condition has been in any way retarded by the existence of this pandemic that we all call corona disease or C-19? Have you been able to fight your way through this additional hurdle?
It definitely does have, it affects your mental state, and that's what you need to be cognizant of. So you can get, you know, swamped by that. But I think just to stay above it all, do what's necessary to do, wear your mask, be careful, wash your hands, whatever the case may be. Because we are at risk, hugely. But you don't have to hide in a corner and lie in your bed, you know. So I don't do that, certainly.
Yeah, I must admit, I'm firmly of the belief that even if you are not sick, if you go to bed for a week, you will get sick.
Yeah.
You know, just muscular atrophy, lack of circulation, all that sort of stuff. I think that's common sense. But let's get to the day itself. The Super 6 challenge is innovative. It's fresh in that it does not necessarily underpin the aspects.
You live with it. We were very lucky, and I'll tell you a story that happened. We were in, our medical aid reaches the above threshold benefit, and they pay for everything when you're in above threshold. So Shirley decided that we're in above threshold. You, 50-year-old husband of mine, I'm going to take you to have a colonoscopy. But you know what? I'll join you. I'll come with you to have the colonoscopy. Well, as it turned out, the 50-year-old was okay, and Shirley got a call to say that they had found an enlarged lymph node, and they wanted her to come back. And she, in fact, went back on New Year's Eve, all to get to a stage where we didn't have to pay for that, that the medical aid would, you know, very, very kindly take care of. And I recall this at the time that, that Shirley got the call after the diagnosis. And I was standing at the foot of the bed, and I saw her write the word oncology. And I had complained after the colonoscopy. I actually said to Shirley, can you believe it? I got an oncology pillow. This was before Shirley was even diagnosed. I said, you know, imagine I'm going in to have a colonoscopy, and on my pillow is written oncology in big black writing. And lo and behold, as it turned out, whether it was some kind of omen, I'll never know, we'll never know. But she was then told that she had this enlarged lymph nodes, and that the likelihood was that she had lymphoma. In fact, it might have been that she did have lymphoma at that stage. She put the phone down and had about a 15-second little drizz, and then in typical secretary style, she got out a note and a notepad, and she said, right, this is how we're going to deal with it. And she started to make notes of you know, all the things that she had to have done, et cetera, et cetera. And that, for me, is a moment that I'll never forget. Her determination to beat this, and she beat it. She's been in remission now for, I'm not great with dates and times, but for a number of years. And she only beat it because of her grit, true determination, and her desire to be okay for our boys. And she's amazing. Where she finds it from, I don't know. That she lives, as I heard Jill say earlier, every day in constant pain. I know she's got the pain. Other people don't. They don't see that. They don't see that side of her, where she has to just put her feet up and have a break from everything. And as I say, I don't always get it right. You know, I don't dash around and do all the, you know, because she does it. So in my mind, I start to convince myself that she's okay. But yeah, it's a journey. Will I change it? Wouldn't change anything. Wouldn't change any part of it. Because it's part of, it's you. My dad once said to me, and I won't use the exact terms of what he said because I can't do that on television, but effectively, you've got to play the card, the hand that you have. If you're playing poker, you play with the hand you're given. You can't start stealing cards from there and there and pretend you haven't got this card. That's the hand. And that, I think, is a fact of life.
Yeah,
Sorry, I have to have some water.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry.
We've seen in the horse racing industry people like Calvin Harhoff, who recently passed away, people like Paul Lafferty, who've fought his own battle. He's also been a warrior.
Yeah.
How the racing industry rallies together for charity evenings. It's quite remarkable, the unity that exists in this fraternity.
Yeah. Absolutely, Andrew. You know, we obviously get people from all spectrums of life, but on the whole, when there's a cause, they rally. they rally, and they will put on race meetings, and everybody rallies together, from the guy who's taking the pens down to the starter to everyone that's involved. They live it with you, or with the person that you're fighting for. I love those days, those sort of cause days, because it just brought people together and showed the true ability of people to care for your fellow man.
Yeah. If you had been walking down the street and you were accosted by a CNN camera crew and they said, Mr. Aitken, you've got exactly 1 minute to tell us about your life and what you live with, how do you do the impossible and summarize such a situation?
Andrew, I'm not very good at short. I go into long explanations, but yeah, I think positivity. One of the things that I believe in is the power of positivity. It's amazing what you can bring about, and I believe you can bring about just about anything with just having absolute positive vibe. To go around with naysaying and negativity doesn't help anybody. To go around saying, like Shirley said the day that she was diagnosed, I'm going to beat this, which I'm almost sure was part of her words in the end. Right, how do we beat this? How do I beat this? And started making the notes. That's the kind of thing that I believe, positivity, and she made it happen.
Yeah, you know, the one thing that I told Warren Linferno, who was here yesterday, I said to him, please believe me, that the 16th of September is the first day of the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
It sounds cliched, but
It's
it
fact.
could well be
Yeah.
that Super 6 racing has a completely different dimension to offer to the sport that we've never thought of before.
Right.
Okay, that's the way I'm going to end it. Right, what else have you got to say? What other points?
It was just
Colin, 2 anecdotal examples of what humour can actually do for you.
right. Humor,
Well, humour or real life drama.
real life drama.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
Right. Real life drama is the one that I will talk about. I can remember Shirley determined to breastfeed Adam, our firstborn, and Kian. And as part of that determination, she couldn't pick him up because of rheumatoid arthritis. So to burp him, she would lay down on his side on the bed, roll him over onto her arm, flip him over onto her stomach, and then sit up. And in doing that, she could burp him. And those sort of things, never a complaint of, please, can you come and can pick Adam up? I mean, most of the time I was at work anyway when a lot of this took place, but I saw it happen. And those sort of things stick with you.
Nothing like a mother's love.
Nothing like a mother's love. Nothing at all like a mother's love. She was determined, and she knew that we actually watched her hands deteriorating when she was breastfeeding the second time, particularly with Kian. And then on the humorous side, Shirley had, when she had all her joints replaced in her fingers, she's got plastic joints, knuckle joints in all of her fingers. She had this cast on with wires and adjustment screws to tension them every so many days. In fact, we went overseas and we had to find a doctor overseas who could do the tensioning while we were there. But she went one day, there's a picture of her tobogganing, where she's coming down this hill on this toboggan with, a foot of snow. And she's got her cast in the air, and she's hanging onto the toboggan with the other hand and laughing her head off. Now that sort of sticks in me. That's the sort of thing that you have to. Those are the parts that help you to heal.
They say that laughter is the greatest tonic.
Absolutely, and believe me, I saw it there. I mean, if you saw the picture, you would be able to live it and see it. This picture of her, laughing her head off with her hand in the air because she managed to.
It should be your profile picture.
That's not a bad plan. Not a bad plan at all.
Have you got that picture here? Have you got?
He's so delicious. Can I have him on my lap? I mean,
That have always been prevalent in horse racing, betting. The betting can carry on. It's not for everybody. Some people don't like taking a risk. To me, it's an opportunity to expose things that are often hidden from people's vision, and the exposure that this particular day offers you must be very welcome for people who have the same kind of affliction that can learn from your experiences.
It definitely does, because people don't understand, or if they do, their first solution is a fix. So why don't you try this? You know, I don't have a headache and I don't have flu. This is my day-to-day existence, and it is not a quick fix. I've had it for 27 years. I'm still afflicted by it, but we try every day to make our day better. We cope, we manage it. So we manage our pain by doing certain things, whether it's putting your feet up after a very long day or making sure you get an extra couple of hours rest. So yeah, it's definitely people, they don't know about it. They actually don't want to hear it, much like people also don't want to hear about cancer. So it's a great voice to give it, and the focus is fantastic on it in this particular race day.
I'll edit it in.
Okay, it's a great focus to have for this particular race meeting.
Friendship. The fact that you and Colin are up here with your son is as a result of great friendships that have been forged through the hands of time. And Jill Simpkins has always been a huge giver. She's always put her work, and she's always put other people ahead of herself, despite the fact that she's also got her own condition to deal with. But it must be so nice for you to be back in KwaZulu-Natal, and to, even during these testing times, to see some familiar faces.
Yeah, it was a great surprise, and we loved to see Jill and Marius. Jillie's a huge inspiration for our conditions. She gives, as you say, and we love to be here with her and Marius. Her just having a voice and an ear and a shoulder sometimes is all you actually need. Just maybe a quick text, you know, and it doesn't have to be a lengthy affair. Thinking of you, or my heart's with you, etc., etc. And she's there, and she does that. And those voices need to be heard, definitely.
Having been into such dark places that people sometimes can't even imagine, do you believe in miracles?
I do. And I think we are treated with blessings. Whilst I've had this for a very long time, I've got 2 children, and they were born whilst I was in the midst of being really ill.
Yeah, it's very moving, and we are extremely grateful to those owners who have afforded us the privilege of wearing colours that represent a cause. It might be a commercial cause, but in this instance, it has made such a massive difference to Super 6 to have 2 charities that represent the plight of human nature.
Definitely, and we can thank Marius and Jill for having those colours made for the race meeting, and for all they're doing for this particular race day.
Well, I do feel that there's so much that we could talk about. Unfortunately, time does not permit that. But for another day, in another space, we might have a Super 6 challenge that gives us more time. But in the meantime, I think it's time to catch up with Jilly, and for her to explain to us exactly what these colours mean. The colours, the stars, the epaulets, all that sort of stuff. It's very well thought out.
Definitely. This is Jill's passion, and she deserves every accolade coming her way.
Are we okay? Or was there anything else?
Hundreds.
Well done.
That was well done.
I didn't feel like it was well done.
No, I thought it was very well.
In the Defence
As
Forces,
the gladiators had
exactly,
protection,
correct, yes. That is our warrior sign, and then on the top of my cap I've got a star, and that's my mum, my late mum. She had so many autoimmune conditions, but she lived until 86 years old, you know, and that is my guiding light, that woman, you know.
Never mind Wrangler jeans or Levi jeans, she gave you some
Yes,
jeans
she
to
gave-
contend with.
Yeah, I know. I won't tell you what I said to her when we found out that she was actually systemic lupus. Thank you, Mom.
You crazy bat. Still going strong.
Who?
No.
No,
you-
yes, yeah, no. Me, I'm going strong, yeah, no. This is a bad day, okay? And people don't realize that beneath the makeup, there's somebody that is so fatigued at the moment that I could actually just close my eyes and fall asleep. But then you can't, because it affects your sleep patterns. Sometimes you sleep, sometimes you don't sleep. Subsequent to that, I'm now diabetic, I've got cholesterol, because that's what the disease does to you. But still, it's a condition to me.
I have to say that the two enormous blessings you have are, number one, your husband Marius Mostert is
Yes.
an angel from above. That's all I can say.
No, it is.
And these beautiful animals around you, the dogs, the sheep, the horses, there's so much therapy in there.
Yes, no, it is. I mean, the energy on the farm is just such a beautiful energy. I mean, when we first moved in here, it was almost like a dark energy. And as we moved on and as we started introducing the animals and all that kind of stuff, the whole feel has changed. And to walk out amongst the sheep or the horses or even the turkeys, it's just so inspiring. You know, there's life around you. I don't have to worry about stress. Marius keeps that stress levels quite low down because that's a trigger. Stress is a very bad trigger, and you'll end up going into the worst conditions. But Marius has been my biggest supporter. He has helped me through the darkest of times, you know.
And then, nogal, I have to use this word, you've got a couple of runners on the day. Wouldn't that be a fairy story? Billy
It would be,
Jacobs.
yes. Billy is riding Clouds of Witness, and I thank Gary Rich from the bottom of my heart for giving up his colours for me. I really do appreciate that. And then the other horse is already in my colours, White Lightning. We changed it from Marius's colours because Marius' colours only knew second place. So hopefully
Better
White
than
Lightning.
nothing. You're getting a check at least.
So no, but the guys in the group were getting really annoyed about this. So they all decided that my colours need to go on it because it looks better on a grey horse,
Yeah.
and then hopefully it will find first place.
Yeah, well, he's a son of Noble Tune, and Noble Tune just won the Gold Cup, so maybe
Yeah.
they're just a little bit late in developing.
Yes, yeah.
You've got the former champion jockey of South Africa aboard in Lyle Hudson.
Yes, that's right. Yes. No, we're very fortunate, and if I may just say one thing, I'd like to thank every single owner who has given up their colours on the day. I'm not worried about the corporate, but for my cause, I thank them from the bottom of my heart for allowing me this opportunity to teach people about the conditions and our way of living. Sorry. But it's a very emotional issue. From going from the corporate world into this. But you know what? That's life. You get dealt with things and you've got to deal with it. And then I look at people like Babette Netling, Graham Hawkins' wife, what she's been through with her cancer and everything, and you think to yourself, God, I'm lucky.
Where did they find that will to
That
live?
will to live, that it's amazing that a person can have that much strength in them.
All I can say is go the Warriors.
Yeah. And I'd like to also just, it would be remiss of me, if anybody wants to make a donation, I've got a couple of ladies who put their own money together to buy the medications for the less fortunate women, the women that have lost the people who have lost their jobs during COVID. So if anybody wants to make a donation, please contact me.